BREW 2026, hosted by WPP Media, is bringing together some of the biggest names across marketing, entertainment, creators, and tech to decode the future of attention. Impact Magazine is here to find out what's really changing in content, culture, and consumer behavior. So let's find out.
What captures attention today? If there is something which is talking to the consumer directly, where the consumer feels that this is a message which is for them, I think that's the first step in capturing attention. Second is, I'm going to say very obvious things, but I think if you're choosing the touch point which is closest to where your consumer is, then that's what talks to them. And if you are able to use a message which creates some kind of a pull for the consumer to almost like stop scrolling and stop and look at that message, those are the only three ingredients, which are a recipe for a good attention grabbing strategy.
Authentic content, anything which has authenticity, realism is something which I believe is catching attention. So therefore, be as close to the consumer as possible, be as real to your brand from a marketing perspective, as real to the purpose that one is trying to communicate. And I think that is something which is capturing attention in my view.
It's decision making, the attention span. I think it is changing very dynamically in today's environment because, like I said, loyalty is very weak at this point of time. So it's about the brands to know how they can actually try and reach out to the audiences in a very relevant way, and therefore capture their attention as quick as possible.
I think the consumer habits in terms of consuming content, having conversations, watching their shows or content on platforms itself is fast changing. I think social media is at the forefront of this change, and I'm used to possibly reading a newspaper or catching news on a television channel, but today's Gen Z and Gen Alpha and the younger generation is consuming news, for example, through social media. So social media is becoming the first port of call for any information in particular. So therefore, what's changing? I think the way we consume content, the where we consume content itself is changing very, very fast.
The thing which is changing and which is very important for the brands is that there is the consumer journeys are becoming non-linear. Gone are the days when we used to run the loop, that there is a stage-wise conversation which we need to build, starting from the discovery to awareness to consideration and final conversion. Gone are the days. I mean, discovery, consideration, and conversion now happening simultaneously. There is no linear way of consumer journey. So I would say that this is one of the most important change for the brands to really understand that don't follow do not follow your old traditional method of designing the campaigns or buying on the platforms in silos wherein you're buying it for the awareness or you're buying it for the consideration. I think we should buy it or we should consider the platform based on their authenticity, based on their nativity of that specific platform. Hence, it becomes very important to play to the tune of the platform or play to the tune of the content instead of just keep on singing what I want to make consumer to listen.
I think what is changing in content culture is with a lot of tech powering, everyone's ability to create content or put up content. There is a lot of increase in the content which is being put up by almost everyone. So I think the scale of content has probably gone like 20x, 50x as compared to where it was, and across platforms, right? So that's one piece that is changing. Whether it is good, bad, or whatever it is, that's a different question. But I think the scale definitely has gone up in the way content is being put up. I think the consumer behavior of having lesser and lesser attention span is just intensifying even more. I think a few years ago the statistic was that human beings have attention span which is lesser than a goldfish's attention span. I think even we have gotten past that 8-second statistics also. It's much sharper, much shorter, and much more fragmented. So that's the biggest thing which is changing. And if you are not able to catch the consumer within all of this in that 1 second, 2 second, then you probably would have missed an opportunity. So trying to get their attention has become harder. And the irony is there's more content. You can create a lot of content at scale, but you don't know whether it will grab their attention. So that's where it is. It's the irony more than the change.
Definitely micro dramas because it's interesting. How do I get impact in 2 minutes, 7 minutes? In that range. How do I make it relevant to what I do and what the consumer wants? Right. I think it'll be interesting to see how this space evolve. All the big players are in it, so there's a lot of action coming up there.
I think it's all about experiences, right? The gone are the days where you can try and have a very fictional kind of a thing for the consumers. I think the more they experience, the more they will join the brands.
The platforms are becoming transactional ecosystem, and on the contrary, the commerce platforms are getting to be a media house of brands. Uh, we have never, from a media perspective, Zepto, Blinkit, or the quick commerce was supposed to give you an instant transactional, but now they have becoming one of the core media platforms for the brands. So hence I'm saying that that's a very important trend to look out for. The convergence of these two platforms, which is a transaction or a media, the convergence of these two is a very important factor for the brands to really understand it. If the brands are able to decode it and plan their campaigns accordingly, the brands who are doing it, they are weaving a great storytelling with the communities, with the content creators, with the e-commerce platforms. They are going to win a disproportionate way of attention and hence the conversion.
When it comes to propelling growth for brands, there has to be a very good interplay of data, right? Essentially, the data is sitting across multiple ecosystems within an organization. So you'll have e-commerce data that's sitting within the commerce team, and you'll have CRM data sitting within the CRM team, and you'll have essentially, brand level data that's sitting within the brand teams. But bringing an ecosystem in place and creating systems where this data can talk to one another with some sort of a unified context layer is something which a lot of brands should do. Because once you do that, then you get answers to a lot of questions around what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and so on and so forth, right? So I think the one thing that all brands need to kind of change is to start thinking about systems rather than processes, because systems really define and propel growth for brands.